Oh, where do we go from that? I had a video to play for you actually.
Okay. Show us.
So this is kind of a get it off your chest.
Okay.
That egg burrito was somewhat of a get it off your chest.
That's how this started. I forgot about that. The egg burrito.
I ate an egg burrito.
You ate an egg burrito.
Sorry, guys. I'm not vegan anymore.
But you're vegetarian.
I'm definitely. I guarantee there'll be people in the comments saying
he's not vegan anymore.
He's not vegan anymore.
Yeah. At least you ate an egg. I ate a freaking
That's still
fish.
classified. I'm still plant based.
Yeah. Vegetarian.
Still plant based.
No problem,
guys.
If you knew how many eggs I'd eaten before becoming plant based, you would not believe it.
I am not carnivore. I can say that.
You can definitely say that. I used to eat 3 eggs a day every day. 21 eggs a week. Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of carnivore.
Yeah, what do we got here?
We have Dr. Anthony Chaffee. He recently did some sort of an interview titled Arguing Dr. Chaffee Against the Carnivore Diet. So I think someone else he was debating. And he mentions me.
Oh, really? Let me see this.
That's why I want to play this.
I like this.
What lions have been eating for the last 2 million years is what lions are supposed to eat. What koalas have been eating for the last however long they've been eating eucalyptus is what they're supposed to eat, right? So this is what you're biologically designed and adapted to eat. You can't eat something for 2 million years, survive as a species, and thrive as a species if you are not already biologically evolved to it and designed to eat it, or you have then become optimized to it. It just doesn't work like that. That's just not how biology works. And so I've heard this argument from Simon Hill, which I just thought was insane. He's like, oh yeah, well, I'm not arguing that, people, have been eating meat for 2 million years, but, it's probably not optimal, probably suboptimal. This thing that we've never eaten before in human history, that's definitely better because, some study said so. Like, I just don't care. You don't understand biology from a fundamental level. During the ice ages, what plants were available to eat exactly? What were people eating when they crossed the land bridge through the Arctic Circle in the last ice age to cross from Asia into North America? What yams were available then? Where was the honey and fruit and manna from God? No, there was meat, and that's what you were eating. And you cannot just barely survive an ice age, right? If the Simon Hill theory of like, oh well, everyone was just dying and getting heart disease and cancer and all that. No record of that. Absolutely no evidence of that. It's pure supposition. That is a pure accusation, with baseless accusation. All these people were just dying off and things like that, getting cancer and all that sort of stuff. No, because if they were, they would be too sick to survive and thrive during an ice age. You cannot just eke out an existence. A bunch of people on life support and chemo are not making it through an ice age when you have to hunt mammoths and fight off saber-toothed cats and ice bears and things like that. That's not going to work.
Wait.
Okay.
You didn't say that.
So
hold on a second.
I've never claimed that people were dying, like our ancestors were dying of heart disease and cancer. These are mostly modern diseases. Yeah. And what was killing our ancestors was the harsh conditions that they were living in. Right. Infections or predation from other species, or being attacked from other tribes. Yeah. Things of that nature. But where he and I very strongly disagree is, I don't think that we can assume that a diet that allows us to procreate and expand as a species is necessarily the same diet that is best for, or is automatically a good diet for maximizing or optimizing health span and longevity. Mm-hmm. So if longevity is our goal, going back to the fossil records and just looking at what humans may or may not have been eating, right, is maybe not the best place for us to go, particularly when we have all of this modern science looking at nutrition and chronic disease risk, longevity, how long people are actually living. So even then, going back and trying to identify what did humans actually eat, right? He follows a carnivore diet, and he's kind of taking this position that humans used to eat predominantly meat or all meat-based diets. And that is hugely debated.
Right.
I had Herman Poncer on the show, who is an evolutionary anthropologist.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he studies. He wrote a book called Burn, and I think Dr. Chafee could maybe interview him or read his book Burn. And when you look at his work, and he's gone and lived with the Hadza, but he's also researched the Tsimane and tribes that are no longer around, and looked at multiple things, looked at the diet and the contribution of carbohydrates, protein, and fats. Mm-hmm. And I have a table here from a 2018 study that Herman Poncer authored. And in table 1, he actually goes through and looks at the Hadza, the Tsimane, the Shuar, which is another tribe, and compares them to Americans and looks at the contribution of energy from carbs, fat, and protein to the diet. And then he also looks at their LDL, their cholesterol levels, including LDL. Mm-hmm. The Hadza, 65% of calories for the Hadza on average comes from carbohydrates.
Which equals plants.
So Dr. Chafee there was suggesting that I'm proposing that people consume some new foods that we haven't consumed for millions of years. Right. Humans have always consumed plant foods. Yeah. This tribe here is getting 65% of their calories from carbohydrates. That means much more than 65% of their calories are coming from plants, because there's also protein and fats coming from plants. Mm-hmm. The Tsimane gets 72% of their calories from carbohydrates. Americans, 46%. So Americans are consuming a low carbohydrate diet relative to the Hadza and the Tsimane.
Wow.
If you look at that, this data. Now, the other interesting thing here is Dr. Chafee will and others like Paul Saladino will often point to the Hadza. Right. Not only will they get that wrong, that there's a huge amount of carbohydrates in their diet, but you won't hear them talking about their LDL cholesterol levels. Mm-hmm. What do you think the average LDL cholesterol level is in the Hadza?
I would say it would fall outside of our, what range are we talking? Like the
milligrams per deciliter. So the average Americans is 135.
I'm guessing that it's outside of the lower part of our normal range. Like it's low, basically.
If anyone can recall the 7 hours that I did with Dr. Thomas Dayspring. Yeah. Basically, when LDL cholesterol is sort of 70 milligrams per deciliter or lower, people really don't get atherosclerosis. Right. And you can see that best in the genetic Mendelian studies, where people have a genetic mutation at birth, super low LDL cholesterol, they just don't get atherosclerosis. The LDL cholesterol level on average in the Hadza, this is in table 1, is 62 milligrams per deciliter. Yeah. What does that tell you about their diet?
Right.
It has to be high fiber. It has to be low in saturated fats. Right. It is not the diet that Dr. Chafee or Dr. Saladino are putting forward.
Yes.
At all. This episode is proudly brought to you by Inside Tracker. Track your blood biomarkers, understand your biological age, and receive personalized lifestyle tips backed by evidence to optimize your health. To get started with Inside Tracker today and get 20% off your first purchase, head to insidetracker.com/Simon. That's insidetracker.com/Simon for 20% off.
Well, the other gaping hole in that argument, where he contradicts himself, is I bet you if you said, are humans omnivores, he would say yes, right? Which means we can eat animals and plants, right? Would you think he would agree with that?
Yes.
He has then chosen to have the one extreme, only animals in his diet. You have chosen the other extreme, only plants in your diet. The difference is, though, we have modern day data, fairly longish term, to show that the more plants you eat, the healthier you are. He doesn't have that. So he's gone and said, we ate meat for millions of years, therefore we should only eat meat. You're saying, yeah, we ate meat and plants. I'm going to lean on the plant side of it. And look at all this research showing how much better the health outcomes are today in this world, not in the million years ago world where we don't really actually know. Like, what do we know right now?
But I would also just debate the point of us ever eating a diet that was all or mostly calories from animal foods. He
Right.
might be able to find like one
Yeah.
example of that.
Yeah.
But most of the data that we do have, particularly on these modern day hunter-gatherer tribes, suggests that they're getting a fair percentage of their calories from plant foods.
But I feel like what he said about your claims, I don't even know. Have you even said that? Like he sort of said that you know, I can't remember what he said, but
Let's play it again.
Play it again. I need to hear that again. It doesn't sound like something that you would have said. I feel like he for sure misrepresented your position on this.
And then you look at studies, just looking at what humans ate and our biology and our the anthropology and paleoanthropology, and looking, okay, what did humans actually eat? Well, what we've been eating for the past 2 million years is what we're supposed to eat. What lions have been eating for the last 2 million years is what lions are supposed to eat. What koalas have been eating for the last however long they've been eating eucalyptus.
What lions have been eating for however many years is what lions are supposed to eat. Can't we reframe that and say what food was available is what you have the option to eat, right? So we have food available now that was different to however many million years ago, right? So what is the available food in your current environment and what is the health outcome you're looking for? We have foods available now in this day that we know promote health. So I don't know if it's about supposed to. It's like this idea that he was there when we were designed. You know, I was there in the factory when we designed the humans and this is what they're supposed to eat. No, you evolve at what's available in your environment. They were eating those foods because they were available. We have foods that are now available that we also know can improve our health. So how come we can't eat those? Does that make sense? I hope that made sense. In my head, that made so much sense. I hope people followed that.
Is what they're supposed to eat, right? So this is what
Siri.
we're biologically designed and adapted to eat. You can't eat something for 2 million years, survive as a species, and thrive as a species if you are not already biologically evolved to it and designed to eat it.
Hold on. Let me just put something to you. Let's say today, all we have available to us is McDonald's.
Yeah.
That's all we have available to us. Are we still going to be able to procreate?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fast forward.
We'll evolve.
Let's just fast forward in a million years from now.
Yeah.
And you look back and you saw that humans today were eating McDonald's. Right?
Yeah.
Does that mean that McDonald's is the best diet for longevity? It just means that at this point in time in 2000,
you did a way better example.
in 2023,
Yes.
McDonald's was around.
You evolved to your environment.
Well, McDonald's provided enough nutrition to, it wasn't killing people before they could have babies.
Right. That's what I was
It's
trying
killing
to say.
people when they're 50, 60, 70.
Yes.
Right? That doesn't affect evolution.
Mm-hmm.
So we could go back and look 2 million years ago.
Yeah.
I still disagree with him. He's trying to
Wait.
act like he knows the lion diet and the human diet, and he's trying to make it that's clear cut that humans ate a carnivore diet or
Yeah.
carnivore-ish.
We
I would
don't know
debate
that.
that.
Yeah, we don't know that.
And I think Herman Ponce's work suggests that that's just not true.
Right.
But you could go back and see what humans were eating 2 million years ago. The only thing that tells us is that those foods were good enough to get them to an age to procreate, and that's why we're here today.
Right.
It does not tell us that Homo erectus, 2 million years ago, who was eating that,
Yeah.
if he had kept eating those foods and wasn't killed by another animal or killed by another tribe
Right.
or killed by an infection, that he was going to live to 80, 90 with
clean arteries. Do we say the same thing? Did you become best friends? Mate, 100%. Can you keep playing though? I want to hear that part where he mentions your name. I'm trying to figure out why he quoted you.
Or you have then become optimized to it. It just doesn't work like that. That's just not how biology works. And so I've heard this argument from Simon Hill, which I just thought was insane. They said, "Oh yeah, well I'm not arguing that people have been eating meat for 2 million years, but it's probably not optimal, probably suboptimal. This thing that we've never eaten before in human history,
Plants.
That's definitely better because some studies."
Plants that we've never eaten.
That's what I'm saying. You never said that.
And so
Well,
We always ate plants.
we've always eaten plants.
That's what I'm saying. So that's a total.
don't care. You don't understand biology from a fundamental level. If we've been eating meat for 2 million years, even if we didn't start out as it being optimal for us, it definitely would have become optimal for us. That's just how biology and evolution work.
Pause.
And so
So if something's not
Pause.
optimal for longevity, how over time does it become optimal for longevity?
Say that again.
The example I used before, so McDonald's,
Yeah.
right? Is it possible in 2 million years from today?
Mm.
So he just said then it's possible for something that's not optimal will become optimal over time.
Mm-hmm.
That is akin to us saying that today, Big Macs,
Yeah.
which we know are not optimal for longevity today,
Yeah.
that they will in 2 million years be optimal.
Yeah, I don't think you can't do that because I actually think it's case closed when you explain the only reason that we need to get to the age to be able to reproduce, have our offspring, they do the same thing, down the line, that is how we evolve and continue. It tells you nothing about the quality of your life or your health in your later years. We are in a privileged position today that we can actually care about those things. We have antibiotics to stop infections that would have killed us millions of years ago.
The only way for what he's saying to occur would be only the people that eat Big Macs today that are going to live to 90 or 100, we're only going to let them have kids. That's the only way how you can change the gene pool in that way.
Right.
Do you see what I mean? Because if people who are being killed by McDonald's at 60 or 70 because they get cancer or cardiovascular disease are able to have kids,
Right.
then we're not influencing the gene pool in the way to make humans all of a sudden resilient to junk food.
Right. The genes have been passed on. It's been done.
The genes are passed on.
Yeah.
So this is, I mean, I'm not sure what he just said about me.
Yeah.
What was the
I'm
wording?
lost now.
Let's-
He called you insane, for
He
sure.
called me insane.
Yeah. I also don't like...
But that's okay. I don't take offense to that.
From Simon Hill, which I just thought was insane. It's like, oh yeah, well, I'm not arguing that people have been eating meat for 2 billion years, but it's probably not optimal, probably suboptimal. This thing that we've never eaten before in human
false.
history,
It's a straw man.
that's definitely better because
Never eaten
some
before in
study
human
said
history.
so. Like I just don't care. You don't understand biology from a fundamental level. If we've been eating meat for 2 million years, even if we didn't start out as it being optimal for us, it definitely would have become optimal for us. That's just how biology and evolution.
What?
No.
Point? One of the points that I just want to get across here is that meat could have been very important for survival, for us being here today. But at the same time, eating a lot of meat could be very bad for your long-term health.
Right. He's implying that we evolved to the food. We evolved to the food available. He's saying if the only thing available is meat, we will evolve for it to be optimal. That's what he's saying. But what we're saying is that who cares once you've reproduced? It doesn't make a difference. So even defining optimal is just confusing. Like, what is optimal? To get to reproduction? To pass on your genes? Or is it to live a long life, disease-free? It's just murky, man. I'm lost. I feel dumber now.
I don't think he's making a lot of sense.
I feel really dumb right now.
To say that what we've been eating for 2 million years is not what we are designed to eat and what we would be benefited to eat. Can we use plants as medicine? Sure. Can we use it as a crutch to get us through a famine? Absolutely. And we have. And I think that's a serious survival advantage. But that doesn't mean that it's optimal, right? And so it just depends on the journals you're reading. So you need to go to first principles. You need to look at biology, at biochemistry, at organic chemistry, understand botany. That's a big one.
Stop.
Understand how our bodies work, understand what we are designed to eat. And then you don't need anything else. I mean, that's
So, yeah, go. What are you thinking?
I just want to read you a quote from this 2018 paper of Herman Pontz's, which I recommend everyone read.
Yeah.
He says, meat-heavy, low-carbohydrate diets may have been the norm for some hunter-gatherer populations in the past, but many small-scale societies, including those with excellent metabolic and cardiovascular health, eat diets that are relatively rich in carbohydrates and simple sugars.
If I said to you, Simon, look at these studies, look at biochemistry, look at all these buzzwords you're throwing around, look at biology, look at this mechanism, look at
Botany.
first principles botany, look at this. Do you think this is what we're designed to eat based on these biochemical studies? Start eating that way, you're going to live a long life. Verse, Simon, look at this population over here. They eat this food. This is how long they live. This is how much disease they have. which one of those gives a better prediction of a real-world scenario that you might end up at? The biochemistry of a food and how we were, quote-unquote, designed, which I'm sure he wasn't there when we were designed, versus here's a real-life population that we're studying, disease-free, who live really long, and this is what they eat. Forget about the biochemistry.
Well, I would say to you, has that real world example been replicated? To which you would say yes.
Yep.
And then I would say, and therefore what you're saying is those populations can both procreate and live a long life,
Yeah.
because that's what I want.
Right.
You know, I don't want to just eat a diet that's going to help me to get to an age to procreate.
Yeah.
I want to eat foods that are going to enable me
Yeah.
to have children,
Yep.
and also hopefully reduce my risk of developing cancer and having a heart attack.
Right. So if you're a betting man, you're saying, you know what? I'm going to lean on the lifestyle and diet of the people that I've seen walk the walk, versus the other person's going to lean on what we think the people ate and how they lived. And because of the biochemistry, let's just hope that we live a long, healthy life. I know which one I'm choosing. All right. Yeah, I think we could.
I guess the question that I would throw back to Dr. Chafee, he said that we will, even if a diet is not optimal, we will evolve to that. That diet will become optimal. So I would love to know how we are going to evolve for the McDonald's diet today to become optimal.
Right.
How is that going to happen?
Right.
If people who are being killed by the McDonald's diet in their 50s, 60s, and 70s today are still able to procreate,
Right.
because that diet's not killing them before they can procreate,
How
on earth are we ever going to evolve to adapt to the McDonald's diet such that it becomes a healthy diet?
Right.
If he can answer that,
Yes. You'll change your ways.
I'll start
Okay.
eating meat and meat only.
Right, exactly. You just can't. To me, that's case closed. But just let's play devil's advocate here. Let's actually do this one. What if he showed you a population of only meat eaters who are 100 years old with clean arteries, no cancer, blah, 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 or not no cancer, but better health outcomes, less prevalence of disease, in their hundreds, healthy and thriving, and all they eat is meat, high saturated fat.
Mm.
What do you say to that?
I'd find that very interesting.
And
I would.
Right. And
I would want to ask a lot of questions.
Right.
Maybe they have some genetic differences,
sure. But would you not then
such
say
that like saturated fat isn't affecting ApoB in that population.
Sure. But would you not then say, well, at least there is some good evidence right there to potentially choose that diet. I'm seeing a population group living a long life, thriving on only meat. At least there's a ground now to stand on, or a base to,
I think
to
that
make a
would
decision.
that would strengthen his position.
That's what I'm saying. But
sure.
But to my knowledge, that doesn't exist. So I feel like he's taken a stab in the dark based on this beautiful evolutionary story that he's told everyone. He's totally guessing. But at least show us a population that's thriving in their hundreds, eating only meat. Where is it?
And
I haven't seen it.
like even in the records, right? It's pretty well established now that a lot of the earlier records probably overestimated the contribution of meat to these diets because the bones remain,
Yeah.
but the plant foods don't.
Right.
So when
Yeah,
they're
that's a good
excavating these sites
Right. They're finding
and
bones.
looking at what they ate, you may be overestimating the contribution
Right.
of animal fat and animal protein.
That's an interesting take. I haven't heard that. That's very sensible.
Herman Ponce speaks about that. I think that's the best place for anyone who wants a really sensible overview from an evolutionary anthropologist on this topic. I'm not professing
What's his
to
background?
be that.
Is
Dr.
he-
Chafee?
Yeah, he's a doctor.
I think he was an orthopedic surgeon.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that.
Right.
Medical doctor.
Okay. All right.
I would seriously just read Byrne.
Mm.
Don't take our word for this.
Yeah.
Read that book.
I haven't read it. I should read it for sure. I'm sure there's
It goes
an
into
audio book.
all of this in a lot of detail.
Yeah, awesome.
And it puts to rest a lot of myths that exist around the paleo diet, ancestral eating.
Right.
By the time you put that book down, you'll have a completely different view of what ancestral eating means, and also the role of exercise, particularly in fat loss.